So I have a story for you guys. This is like a blast from the past type of video. So let me first rewind to like almost 10 years ago when I first started trying to navigate dating, specifically gay dating, right? It's like nobody shows you the ropes. You don't really know what you're doing. You're just kind of throwing yourself into it and you learn as you go. And I remember I was just so naive when I first started using dating apps in particular. I just remember I would like invest so much into it. I remember I had an OkCupid profile, and OkCupid at the time was like the modern app that was like was supposed to be less surface, less superficial than like a Tinder where you're just like swiping as if these aren't real people behind photos, right? So for that reason, I had an OkCupid profile. That was the first dating app I ever got onto. And I just remember I would like fill out my profile. I had so much, I would answer every question. I would read through other guys' profiles. And I remember I would always send like a thoughtful message to show that I read their profiles. And when I would send like a nice substantive message and not hear back from somebody, I remember I was just so naive about it that I would be like shocked because I was like, I don't understand. Like, we're around the same age. I feel like I'm decent looking. Based on what they're saying in their profile, I think they're looking for somebody like me. And I send this thoughtful message and they don't even respond. And it's like, it's so funny because 10 years later, like, now to me, it's just normal to not hear back from most guys I talk to, even the ones that I've begun a conversation with, or ones who reach out to me first. Like, it happens so often that guys like ghost or flake or whatever. But at the time, I was so new to it that I remember just like not getting it. And I remember the first time that happened with a guy that I saw his profile, and I remember being so interested and so curious about him. um we'll call him Mike. And I remember going back to Mike's profile and being like, why would he not respond? Like, am I missing something? Like, and just putting so much energy into it because my logical, 21, 22-year-old sensitive self, like, didn't get it. Anyway, call it desperate, call it needy, whatever. I remember like sending a follow-up message to him and being like, hey, just wanted to like check in or whatever. Again, this is me at like 21, 22. Still didn't hear back, right? So anyway, that was like my first crush on the apps. And then ironically, the first crushing, pun intended, experience of like it not working out how I hoped it would be. And using apps not being as fruitful as I thought it would be, right? Now, fast forward to last night, I went out to the local gay bar Twist here in Miami, and I saw Mike. I saw him walking by with his friends, and it was such a full circle moment because I feel like I've evolved so much in recent years, over the past decade, since I was using that app, OkCupid. I feel like I look different. I feel like I look my best. I feel my best. I've intellectually evolved, obviously emotionally, all those things. And he has not evolved the same way. Like, it's not that how do I express this? He was still like a good looking guy, but I remember that like youthful vibrance that he had a decade ago, he didn't have that anymore. And maybe I'm just being judgy, but he seemed like somebody who has spent the last decade drinking a lot. Let's just leave it at that. That and like maybe some drugs. He just seemed like he had aged a lot more in these past 10 years than I have. And he walked right by me and he was just like in his own universe. I could tell he was already like either wasted or on something, some kind of drug, frolicking with his friends through the bar. And as he walked by, I was just thinking, wow, like the guy he's evolved into, both physically and just the energy of, he just seemed like another sort of wasted, kind of like sloppy guy at a gay bar. And as he walked by, I just thought, wow, I was so into this guy a decade ago. And I remember feeling so like rejected that I never heard from him. But I now realize this isn't somebody I could have ever been compatible with. Even, it's hard to explain, and I know it's judgy, but just the way he walked through the bar, he just seemed so sloppy and so out of it. And I was like, oh, like this all makes sense. Like, this has happened other times before where like, I guess subconsciously maybe I was seeking the validation of a guy I was into. And then you see them in person Or you see them on another app and you're like, I'm not even compatible with this person. Like, this person isn't who I thought they were from the profile. And I've talked about this in a recent video, how I've had a history of like romanticizing somebody based on the profile. And in reality, like, a lot of people aren't as special as you make them out to be. Okay, the sun is suddenly hitting me right on the chest. Anyway, I thought this was a funny story, and a strange like full circle moment of just like frivolously you see somebody who once had some kind of symbolism in your life as the first something, right? The first kiss, the first guy you have sex with, the first, in this case, the first crush, the first guy I saw on an app that I was like, oh, I can date somebody like this, and that first like disappointment, I don't know, I guess it was just an interesting thing to see someone who represented something to you that meant a lot more like 10 years ago. And it just brought me back to where I was a decade ago with trying to navigate being a gay adult and trying to meet other gay men, and that whole quest, and how certain things along the way have gotten so much easier. Wow, this is getting really bright. How certain things have gotten easier, and then in other ways it's the same bullshit. And the biggest lesson I've learned from all of it, and again, this happened to me yesterday when he walked right by, was like, it's exactly that, right? You just walk on by and you keep it moving, and finding a way to still, I think, be a proactive person who pursues the things that he or she wants, but to not get caught up in the minutia of like, why, how, the rejection of it. And I don't know, I feel like when that happens to me now, when I don't hear back from somebody who seems really cool, it doesn't affect me the same way as it did 10 years ago, right? Over time, things affect you less emotionally, I think, because you're just so used to the experience, and you realize that it's not, all that glitters is not gold, I guess is one of the lessons here.